Good evening, and welcome to this installment of Parent University TV. I'm your host, Michael O'Neal, and we've got a great show for you. And I have on hand a friend of mine. We've met each other just recently, but I believe we're going to do a lot of work in the community together. You know, one of the things that we do at Parent University is bring the information people want. And what I have found is that people really love to know more about how the law works. So it's been my great fortune to run into Mr. Mark Tate.
Hey,
How
Mike,
you doing,
it's
Mark?
a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. It's awesome.
And I'm just so glad you're here. And as I was just saying to the TV audience,
Yeah.
You know, our parents never get enough of good information about the law.
It's tough to come by. You know, the thing about the law is that it's everywhere and it touches really everything we do. And I had the great pleasure of being one of the speakers at your most recent Parent University out there. And I'm so impressed with what you're doing with Parent University, and it's been going on for so long, and it's such a huge draw. And part of the thing that I realize is you do have a lot of folks out there that really do have a difficult time just getting some basic ideas under their belt about the law, but not just the law, but how it affects them and their students, because a lot of the times the concerns of parents and grandparents who were in attendance at some of the times that I spoke, they want to know what's going on with their children who are minors and the rights to be searched at school, and do they have a right to privacy in the school, and what happens before they get suspended or expelled or sent to the diversionary school. And we were able to spend a good bit of time with a very packed classroom out there, which was a lot of fun, and really try to get to the nut of a lot of problems they were facing. But there's such a lack of understanding of really how to do some basic things. And, you know, one of the things I realized, and one of the things I think it's important with, you know, Parent University television, is that people really don't have any idea how to hire a lawyer, how to go about finding what kind of lawyer they need.
Well, that's one of the questions that I want to ask Mark Tate. But you know what? What we do on the show oftentimes is we find out, well, who's Mark Tate? I mean, you're a Savannaian. Tell us a little something about yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. No, I had the good fortune of finding Savannah about 22 years ago now, and I chose to come here. And so while I wasn't born here, I'm a Savannian by choice, and I grew up in the Atlanta area and went to University of Georgia School of Law, which is where I wanted to go. And after spending 3 years in Athens, I knew I didn't want to come back to Atlanta, and my wife and I, who went to law school together, searched out cities in Georgia where we wanted to be, and Savannah's a fantastic fit. And I came to Savannah, and I decided that I wanted to be a lawyer after a period of time that reached out and helped people who had been wronged because somebody had done something to them. And that was quite a change, because when I first came to Savannah, I did medical malpractice defense work. And it's a different world when you're representing insurance companies. And I realized quickly that I wasn't really doing anything to help anybody, because the insurance company's already been paid their premiums, and I was trying to fix it so they didn't have to pay for losses that had been occasioned by the person who'd been paying the premiums.
Wow.
So we were really trying to keep people who deserved to be compensated from getting money they deserved, and I didn't like that. I never liked it, and you know, sometimes the pressures to take a job make you do things like that. But as soon as I could get my head around that I didn't want to do it anymore, I quit that job, and I walked out, and I didn't have another job. And I spent a period of time volunteering at Georgia Legal Services in that fantastic program, and realized that wasn't really going to pay the bills at all. So I got a job doing plaintiff's trial work, and I started out primarily representing people who were victims of asbestos-containing products and had asbestos lung cancer or mesothelioma or asbestosis, and early on silicone breast implants and Dalcon Shield and those types of products. And started to really realize that by representing people that had been victimized by big business, that we could really make a difference and get in and change an industry. And for example, with regard to the silicone breast implant litigation, our work got silicone breast implants that were causing major health problems in women off the market. I was involved with getting rid of asbestos in the marketplace, and it was something that was known to those companies was killing people who used it. And so we had a lot of early opportunities like that to get involved and make a difference. And I started my own law firm. It's Tate Law Group.
Yes.
We're really pleased to be able to be one of the few law firms that is AV rated by Martindale Hubbell. That's the highest legal standards and highest ethical standards. There's a fun little thing called avo.com. It's a website, and we have ratings from our clients, and you can go on there and read what they say about Mark Tate, and we're the highest rated firm in Savannah on that as well. And so we really take pride in a number of things at my law firm. I've got a good number of solid lawyers who work for me. We've got a medical staff that helps us understand the medical issues of cases. But most importantly, Mike, when you pick up the phone, when any client picks up the phone and calls my law firm, you're going to talk to a lawyer who works for me, or you're going to talk to me, and we are either going to keep your case until we win it or we lose it. So many law firms today, unfortunately, pack your case up and send it off, and you never know what lawyer has your case. But when you hire my law firm, you're hiring my law firm, and we handle your case until it's finished.
Well, Mark, you're a part of the Parent University family now.
Yeah, we love it.
And it's so interesting that I should have asked you that question, because my father died from mesothelioma.
Is that right?
He worked all his life as a machinist
Yep.
in a company I won't name, but he passed away. So what you're saying, it touches me.
Absolutely.
But what we'll do, I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
And as I say, we'll talk later. But I have a few questions that maybe our parents will benefit from.
Sure, absolutely.
And you've already touched on some of them. But what should a person look for when hiring a lawyer?
Yeah.
What are just some of the general things?
Well, it's interesting. I just had a conversation today with a client, and I was trying to help her answer some of those same questions. And it's important to ask the right questions. And I told her it's important to ask the right questions. She got off on a tangent, and she said, Mr. Tate, before I hire you, I need to know if Jesus is in your heart. And I said, here's the deal about that. That's not really the question you need to be worried about. That's interesting if you're hiring a counselor. That's interesting if you're hiring a psychiatrist. That's interesting if you're choosing a church. But you're not choosing those things when you hire a lawyer. And you need to focus in on these things. If you're hiring a lawyer to do something for you in a case, you need to find out, have you handled cases like this before? And if so, were you successful? What are the problems that you're going to face in handling my case? What are the problems that you're going to face in dealing with me as your client? What kinds of resources are going to be required to handle my case? For example, Mike, in evaluating, say, a medical malpractice case, if you have a serious medical malpractice case that's resulted in death or permanent disability to somebody, you got to make sure that the lawyer that you're hiring, the law firm that you're choosing to represent you in your case, has the resources to pay for that case. God knows that the average citizen does not have the ability to finance litigation. You have to hire expert witnesses. You have to pay filing fees. You have to pay those expert witnesses. You have to pay court reporters. You have to be able to finance all of those things before you can even get close to the courthouse and get ready for trial. And so if you have a law firm that hasn't been successful in accumulating the resources necessary to pay those expenses, then they're not going to be able to handle your case. Now, it's important to also know that the lawyer who is taking your case knows obviously how to handle the case, has the resources to do it, but it's also important to find out, have you, in fact, engaged in going to trial? Have you gone to trial in cases?
What does a trial lawyer do?
Well, unfortunately, the studies and the research that's come down out of University of Georgia has shown that 98% of all civil cases settle before trial. Okay, but no case settles for or resolves for an amount that it should unless the lawyer who has it is ready to go to trial. And so that's the way we like to take a case, and that is, we're going to get your case, and we won't take it unless it's one that we are going to actually take to trial. And I know nobody really thinks they want to go to trial, but then that's a strategic decision that your lawyer's got to make, and he will do the best for you and get you what you deserve when you are prepared to take a case in front of 12 people who are going to decide its fate. And so that's an important question to ask. Is this the lawyer who handles these types of cases? You don't hire a divorce lawyer to handle a case involving wrongful death. Just like I don't go and try to handle my own real estate closing. I don't know how to do it. I get a real estate closing lawyer. They're good lawyers, and you don't take your personal injury or wrongful death or mesothelioma case to a lawyer who does Social Security disability. They don't know what they're doing. Just like I am not ashamed to tell you, I don't know the first thing about Social Security disability, but I know how to get you to the guy who does. And you got to know, is this an ethical lawyer? And you can find that out by their Martindale-Hubbell ratings. What have other people said about that lawyer? And for me, for example, you can go to avo.com and type in Mark Tate and see what people say. You got to find out, is this person somebody, you got to feel comfortable with them. Are you going to get lost in the shuffle? Is there staff in that firm that's willing to take my call? How are you going to handle calls when I call you? Those types of things are things that I would want to ask and would tell anybody that I care about to find out about that lawyer.
Well, I can't think of any of our parents that the minute you say we're going to have a class on the law, they don't just light up. Because in everybody's life, there seems to be issues that may be settled in court. And by the way, I want to congratulate you for being voted the best lawyer in Savannah by Savannah Magazine.
Their readers.
2013.
I know, isn't that crazy?
I'm just saying. I want to thank you for that, because there's a question that I have next. Is just like in any other career field, there are those people who gets voted as being the best, being good, but there are also people in any career field that are marginal, or worse. So what I want to ask you is, you got looking for an attorney. I mean, how do you know if the guy is just broke out of the insane asylum or something? I don't know. How do you find if your lawyer is going to be competent?
Okay, well, that's a good question. The State Bar of Georgia, if there's a public disciplinary proceeding or action that's been taken against the lawyer, you can find that out, and it's on their website. I think it's statebarofgeorgia.org, and you can actually get on there and do a search for the lawyer and see what his disciplinary history is. Most lawyers haven't been publicly disciplined, just like most doctors haven't been publicly disciplined. The thing about when people choose a doctor, they choose the doctor frequently by who's on their insurance plan. You don't really look behind it much. They're on our insurance plan. Let's go. I got a sore throat. I can go get some penicillin. Choosing a lawyer is harder for people. It just is, because there's no insurance plan for you to go see who's going to pay for your lawyer. There's you really have to rely on people in the community, and you really have to be careful. And I think it's important to watch out for the people who really, really heavily advertise on television. And you have to pay very careful attention. If you're going to choose somebody and make a phone call based upon a television ad you've seen, what are they selling? If the person you see on TV advertising for that firm is not a lawyer, and instead is standing in front of a green screen to make it look like a library, that lawyer's not going to keep your case. They want to get you to call them, and then they're going to give that case away. They're going to give it to somebody else. Now, the good news is that somebody hopefully who knows what they're doing will have it. The bad news is you don't know who it is. Okay, so that's one thing. If the lawyer is pretending to do stuff that lawyers don't do that grab your attention, lawyers aren't basketball players. Lawyers aren't race car drivers.
What?
No, they're not. They're not. They're not. They're not wrestlers. They're not doing those things. That's a trick. That's a gimmick to get you to call them. There is no such thing, Mike, as a case that can be resolved in one call. People who tell you that they can fix your problem with one call are denigrating the value of your case. It's insulting. If your problem is so simple that it can be resolved by making a phone call, you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem. And I don't ever let anybody think that they're going to be able to have their problem solved by me doing one thing. People and lawyers who tell you that they have people who used to be the captain of the enterprise on there telling you to call them because they mean business. If they're telling you they mean business on television, I think you need to question whether they really do.
Well,
and so I think that those things make it difficult because it's hard to find lawyers. And the other thing, Mike, is for the most part, lawyers scare people. They scare the hell out of people. We talk funny. We've been sent to law school for 3 years to learn how to be hypercritical and hyper-analytical. And that's an intimidating mind to have to deal with. And so we're off-putting. And we use a funny language. And so what I encourage people to do, and the reason I try to reach out to your folks at Parent University, and the reason I'm here today is say, listen, we're not the normal kind of law firm. We're normal people who are in your community. That's why I'm out reaching out every chance I have the opportunity to make people feel comfortable with lawyers in general and me specifically, because I may not be able to help you with your problem. I may not be able to solve your issues, but I will help you find the right kind of person who will. Not many other firms are doing that, but it starts, I think, with one person. And by going to your Parent University, which you've done such a fabulous job with, and you're at Savannah High School this year, such a beautiful campus, such fortunate people to be able to be there. That by slowly trying to chip away and say, lawyers are just regular folks who happen to be a little bit arrogant sometimes and egotistical, but you can still call me at least and we can get you some answers.
Well, people are going to look at the show and says, okay, Mark's working with Parent University, so Mike is giving him an opportunity to give his opinion about other lawyers, but there's got to be some kind of rating. There's got to be some kind of some kind of public rating that people can judge all lawyers by.
Well, so there are a couple of things available, and you can always look at where the person went to law school. And that's hard to tell for the ordinary person. You don't know the difference between Mercer University and Washington University in St. Louis. An accredited law school, you want to make sure that they're still admitted to the bar. They hadn't been disbarred, that they hadn't been sent to prison. You want to make sure those things haven't happened. But there is a system that you can look up and see. It's called Martindale-Hubbell, and it's the rating system that's been put out where lawyers rate each other. Now, you got to remember, Mike, that lawyers are hard on each other, and they're hard on each other in Savannah especially. But what you want to find is a lawyer who is AV rated. A is the most is the highest of preeminent legal abilities, and V means ethical. You want to find an AV rated lawyer. Tate Law Group, we're AV rated lawyers, but that's an important thing, and it does mean something. At least that other lawyers have said you're good. But that's one thing. What another lawyer says about another lawyer, frankly, I don't really care as a lawyer, but it's assigned to a client what something means. You want to see other little things too. Like I said, there's this avo.com, it's new. You can see what clients are willing to say about that lawyer. And sometimes it's really good. And sometimes it's not really good. And you might read on my reviews say things like, very aggressive, sometimes scary, and whatever, things like that. And you may decide, I don't want somebody that's that aggressive. I don't want somebody that's mean. I don't want someone that's going to scare the other side. I want a pussycat. And so you can find ratings that say this guy's a real pussycat. And you're not going to find that with me, and that's okay, but you can see what clients really do say. And that's important, and there are other membership organizations. There's the International Society of Primaris Law Firms. We're a member of that. We're one of 3 in Georgia, the only one in Savannah. It's elected. It's an elected position by other firms. So there are those types of things you can look for.
Well, I hope that I hope that's one of the classes we're going to have at the at one of the parent universities this year.
Yeah.
I think that's just great stuff, and it gives everybody a chance to look for the lion or the pussycat, whichever one of the cats they want.
Whatever kind of cat they need, right?
But I've had some stories. Parents call me and say things like, they've lost everything because of they went to get a lawyer, and then there were fees and things that came up, contingent, fees, things that came up that they didn't really know about. What can you say about what people could look out for fees that may be a little strange?
Okay, so in the United States, we have a thing called the contingent fee system. And it's unusual, really, in the world, but it makes it so ordinary people can go out and hire a lawyer that is every bit as skilled and every bit as educated and every bit as effective and good as the lawyers that General Motors and Bayer and Johnson & Johnson hire to defend them when they make a product that kills people. And so what that means is that lawyer doesn't get paid a thing in the world if he or she doesn't win your case.
Right.
But when and if they do win it, they get paid a percentage of the award. It's usually between 35 and 40%. And what people need to be sensitive to is the expenses that the lawyer runs up.
Right.
And it's expensive to pursue big companies. It's expensive to pursue small companies.
Right.
You want to make sure your lawyer's not doing things like adding on secret costs.
Yes.
That has been done before.
Yes.
Lawyers have been sued in the city of Savannah, including by me, for taking money from their clients, which were essentially fake expenses. Clients should also be especially suspicious of lawyers who tell them they're going to loan them money on their case, or who suggest a particular lending company. We have a really bad situation going on in Savannah by its biggest advertising lawyer in town, where the firm's family owns a lending company that charges extraordinarily high rates. And we know some things, Mike. We know that there are some things that are bad to do. And people who are the brokest really get screwed the most. And it's just a fact. Title pawn, very expensive money. Borrowing money on your paycheck, payday lenders, very bad way to borrow money. The advances that you get on your tax refund, bad. It's bad stuff. Borrowing money on your case. I spoke with a company today that's very proud that it charges only 4%. And I said, 4% per what? And they said, well, it's compounded monthly. And so that means that's 48% per year.
Oh, my.
Okay? Ain't nobody paying 48% to borrow money. Right. It's bad money. Borrow money from your relatives, borrow money from your parents. Sell something before you borrow money, high risk, high interest. And when you find a firm that's willing to send you down the road to go borrow money from a lending company that they may control, you better watch out, because that's not a firm that is living up to its duty. And Mike, what is really important to remember is there is absolutely no higher duty recognized in the country than the lawyer's duty to his client. It's called a fiduciary duty. And it means not only must you be honest with them, but you got to be candid, and you have to put your client's interest above everything else, above your own interest, above the interest of your firm, of your family. That client, you owe them the highest duty that is recognized in the law, and your lawyer owes you that.
Wow. Now that's a big statement.
It is. It
and most
absolutely
people would not put that with the how the treatment they've gotten from lawyers. That's an interesting statement that you just say that's the duty of the lawyer. That's up there with the oath that doctors.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the doctor's oath, essentially, the Hippocratic oath is, first do no harm.
Yes.
And, the lawyer's duty goes really, frankly, beyond that. It is the highest duty that's recognized.
Like, I'll take care of you. It's my duty to take care of you.
An example is, you come in and not you personally, Mike, but a client can come in and confess that they have murdered somebody to their lawyer. And under no circumstances ever can that lawyer be compelled to say, hey, Mike just took care of that competitor who was going to open up the competitor to Parent University.
Yes.
So we not allowed to disclose that.
Right.
Wow. You go tell that to your doctor, he can. Now, if you come to me and say, "Hey, I'm planning to kill," then I have a duty to disclose that.
Right.
But no, we client confidences cannot be disclosed.
Well, hopefully I won't be coming to you with anything
I hope
like
not. But I hope if you do, you've got a big check to retain us, because it's going to be a problem, Mike.
You will tell me that's going to be a problem.
It's going to be an issue.
Well,
it absolutely
tell me, how would you describe the law practice at the Tate
Yeah.
law firm? How would you describe it?
You know,
we've only got a couple of minutes.
Only a couple of minutes. Well, we get close with our clients, and we really come to know and understand them, and frankly, we care about them deeply. Every client that's at our firm has my personal cell phone number. I'm listed in the telephone book, Mike, and so I am the easiest man on the planet to find. If you want to find me, all you got to do is flip open the phone book to T. You got my cell phone number if you're my client. And so we take our clients' interest to heart. We put our clients' interest over ours, and we sacrifice hours. We spend money to represent our clients, and we care for them. But it really goes beyond that. All of the lawyers at my firm are heavily involved in the community because we want to be. We love Savannah. And the fact is that we want to be the go-to group for everybody's problems in Savannah, because we think we can help them find a way up and out of their problems. And what we really hope to accomplish, in addition to having lots of clients and doing very well for ourselves and for our clients, is we want to start to put an end to what we think and what we view as a cycle of poverty based upon ignorance in Savannah. And we think that education through things like Parent University, like the Hungry Forum, and other great organizations in Savannah that reach out and address issues, we think that by education and really orienting people to what's going on in the community and how to act with intelligence and wisdom, we think that that's going to help fight poverty and crime and all of the problems that we have in Savannah. And that's what we're about, and that's what we want to continue to pursue.
Wow,
and it's a lofty goal, I know.
It's a very lofty goal. But I got to tell you, when it was first offered to me that we may do something, and I went, lawyer, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And I got to tell you, but we talked.
Yeah.
And you're a pistol. and and what comes right out, what comes out your mouth is what you mean.
Yes, sir.
And I made the decision that we would align.
That's cool.
Parent University and the Tate Law Firm, because I've heard you say these things, and what I think is, I can believe what you're saying.
Well, we're trying hard. We're trying hard, and it's a nonstop effort. And frankly, it's not something that's always rewarded in the near term. It's a long-term investment. It's a long-term investment, and those are the investments that pay off.
My friend, listen here. We're going to do these again.
All right.
Friends, Mark Tate, here he is. Thanks for watching the show on law. Our law presentations, I think, are going to be pretty exciting this year at Parent University. So until the next time, don't miss our next sessions. But till the next time, though, make sure you watch out for your kids, and we'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.
Thank you.